Welcome to the Music Room. I'm Duncan Taylor. Imagine two companies competing in a marketplace to produce a special niche kind of product. Let's say it's a specialized computer like this streamer in front of me. One company is a group of engineers, very enthusiastic. Maybe they banded together because they created a product and they're creating a business to bring that product to market. It's all about the enthusiasm and the moxie of this group of individuals as to what they can come up with. The second company that they're competing with, let's say, is Dell or Apple or whoever is dominating the computer industry at the moment. Now, who do you think is going to make the best product, the most production-ready product, and maybe the most stable and reliable product? I think the answer is clear, and that is the story behind the streamer that you see in front of me, this beautiful device from HiFi Rose called the RS150B.
A clever idea can go a long way, but there's no substitute for the resources and top-notch engineers of an established industry heavyweight when it comes to the complexity of a device like this.
It's a little bit of a David and Goliath tale, except in this case, we like Goliath because Goliath can make one heck of a good streamer.
This is the HiFi Rose RS150B, a full-function digital streamer, DAC, and preamp, with the unmistakable 14.9-inch front display and its gorgeous operating system.
HiFi Rose is a new name to the audio industry, but it was created as an offshoot of a nearly 70-year-old Korean IT company that has lots of real-world experience in the hardest parts of these devices to get right, which is the interface. Now, the hi-fi industry is full of basic, boring, you could even call them, metal boxes that sound spectacular. But the word on the street is that this one has the looks, the feel, and the sonics.
At just under $5,000, it's a serious hi-fi product. And at that price, with streamers, the competition is very intense. Products are judged by how buggy or how intuitive or how attractive they are. And that's on top of the obvious race for the best possible sound quality. Also, it's the year 2022. When it comes to personal computers, we are used to beautiful and speedy devices in our modern tablets and phones. Can this capable new media player keep up?
Now, based on how beautiful this is and how smooth it is to operate, my initial expectations for the potential for sound quality out of this thing were understandably low, but probably lower than they should have been. But I was in for a surprise. Let's take a closer look.
The brand HiFi Rose may be new, but its manufacturer and parent company Sci-Tech is not. Sci-Tech is a Korean IT manufacturer that was founded in 1954 and has divisions which specialize in TV set-top boxes and those interactive internet kiosks that you see in airports and train terminals, as well as many other display-focused equipment. So they're experts in creating interactive graphical experiences and engineering the companion hardware. What drew me to the RS150B among HiFi Rose's various products is that it's a perfect merger of high-end audio hardware design and the company's bread and butter, the operating system. On paper, this should be their best product, I think. The RS150B is the flagship digital source from the brand, and it's named B because it's a new version of the original RS150. The first 150 used an AKM DAC chip, and those recently became scarce when AKM's Japanese factory experienced a fire last year. So HiFi Rose made some adjustments and switched to the 8-channel Sabre 9038 Pro chip from the brand ESS technology as the heart of the internal DAC. The ESS has a slightly lower maximum output voltage compared to the AKM, but that's because the AKM was capable of more than double the standard voltage output of typical source devices. Besides that, there are no major differences between the RS150 and the RS150B.
The RS150B's nearly 15-inch front touchscreen display controls the entire operating system, which is based on Android architecture, so it's very stable. The companion application is integrated as well with all of the functions that you get on the front screen. So you actually have great visual, full function remote control from your tablet or your mobile device.
Rose Connect, which is the name of the app, is a very speedy and comprehensive application, which is another rarity in the hi-fi landscape. Now, HiFi Rose does include a small plastic remote as well, but I ended up keeping that in the box because of how great the app is. The remote does work for a few functions, but it's limited and requires a setup procedure, and frankly, I've got enough remotes sitting around anyway. It's commonly agreed that to get the most out of the RS150B's impressive features, you want to use the app.
Now, I want to take a quick break here and talk a little bit about fear, or angst or annoyance or whatever. You know, if you're like me and you see this as potentially a hassle that you don't have time for in terms of setup and all the features, I understand. In fact, I was a little intimidated myself the first day or so that I kind of started messing around with this device. And when I looked at the manual for help, there's some major things that they help you with, but it's a bit lacking in detail that I've seen in other kinds of manuals from devices that are as complex as this.
But then I found the community support forums on HiFi Rose's website, and after poking around a bit, I learned some ins and outs of the machine. I was also encouraged to see questions swiftly and helpfully answered by HiFi Rose's staff. It really didn't take long for me to feel comfortable zipping around the program. But still, at the beginning, when I wasn't quite sure of things, I did start listening to the RS150B the easy way by using it as a Roon endpoint. As I spent time with it, I realized the Rose operating system and the Rose Connect app were just as intuitive and maybe even a little quicker than my beloved Roon. One of the things I like about Roon is the ability to pipe both Tidal and Qobuz into one program, which is something the RS150B does too. You log in by choosing the service on the app, and once in, everything loads impressively quickly. You don't need a YouTube login to see YouTube videos, but you do need to make a Rose HiFi account to use RoseTube and a few more features. It's painless and quick, and it doesn't require much information, just a name and a password. Now let's talk settings. With a device as complex as this, sometimes the setup and options menu can be hard to understand or not intuitive. Not the case with the Rose. Check out how the company displays the actual back panel of the device so you can drill into settings for each input and output. Now that's clever. You can turn inputs and outputs on or off, or access advanced options like upsampling, output voltage, MQA and DSD settings, and more. The home display window holds all of the different internal apps and offers some unique listening options. You can customize this home screen by adding or removing apps from the list. So we've got Tidal and Qobuz, and there's also one called Bugs, which is a Korean streaming service that won't work in the US. But that's not where music streaming ends on this machine, because the team at HiFi Rose have cooked up some other cool ideas for music discovery. RoseTube lets you browse a curated list of music videos on YouTube and play them commercial-free in top audio quality. These are hand-picked, and there are a ton of great classical and jazz performances in there. I think this is a forward-thinking feature. More people than ever experience music on YouTube every year, and some performances are never released except on video. Very cool. You know, while we're talking about video, you can watch music videos from the Tidal app as well, or even video files from an attached storage device like an SD card or USB drive. Obviously, on a screen this wide, a standard perspective videos will show a little bit small unless you're right next to the streamer. An HDMI out the back does allow you to add an external display or a TV for a complete visual audio experience. There are also some really great internet radio options on the streamer, but check out this one. Rose FM is a graphically synthesized vintage analog tuner that uses digital radio feeds but operates like the tuners of old that we know and love. Younger users will probably want to know what the heck this thing is. I love it. The RS150B also allows for CD ripping to create a local library on external storage or installed internal storage via the bottom panel, and you can rip CDs with HiFi Rose's own external CD player that connects to one of the USB jacks in the back.
So those are a few highlights that I grew to like in my time with this streamer. There's tons of information about the RS150B online if you have any interest in learning more about how it works and seeing it in action. HiFi Rose also has a lot of how-to videos on their channel. But that's enough about the program. Let's actually get into one special feature about the RS150B that I think is very special and I haven't seen anybody talking about. So we'll get into what I think is a little gem in this little device.
This streamer can be a DAC or a preamp on top of its streaming duties, but as a pure digital transport, it's got some advanced options and outputs. Besides the typical USB and SPDIF outputs, I noticed that it's got not one, but two I2S ports. If you don't know what I2S is, it's closely related to SPDIF in that it is essentially the uncondensed version of the popular digital interface. Whereas SPDIF merges the music signal and the clock signal together, I2S keeps them separate.
Why is this good for audio? Well, because it takes the pressure off of the receivers and transmitters in both of these boxes, and it separates the clocking signal from the digital audio signal, which produces fewer errors. Now, there are different I2S interfaces, and some go even further to separate the data signal, the clock signal, and the ground. And when you do this, you can be fully balanced, which means you take advantage of common mode rejection.
SPDIF is great for most people in most situations, but if you're into high-performance audio and pushing the limits of system resolution, I2S is the very best way to transmit PCM data. It can also handle much higher sampling rates, so it's a growing go-to choice for audiophiles with high-rate PCM or native DSD files. There are different ways to do I2S out there, but I've never seen it done using a DVI socket like HiFi Rose does.
The most popular I2S connection method is via HDMI connector, and you'll see this in popular DACs in the market like the Denafrips Pontus 2 or the Hollow Audio May DAC. Lots of DACs from Hollow Audio and Denafrips actually have I2S inputs, but also DACs from PS Audio like mine. I have a PS Audio DAC with HDMI I2S input. So I guess my burning question was, as soon as I saw that, can I just connect it? Is this set up? The HiFi Rose offers two different jacks for I2S out, and then inside that it offers two different configurations of I2S pinout. So I wanted to know if the default setting would be the most common one on the market. And the answer to that is yes, it was. All I did was I actually went to Best Buy and got this HDMI to DVI cable, connected it up, and it could not have been easier.
The takeaway here is that by offering an advanced type of digital output that is growing in popularity, and by offering multiple implementations, HiFi Rose shows that they really know their stuff. Their engineering seems to be very forward-thinking.
Forward-thinking in a digital product like this is a great thing, but really what you want also is for it to keep up with the pace of technology. Thanks to the fact that the RS150B is structured so heavily around its operating system, this is accomplished through updates that are constantly being pushed out from the Korean company.
When I first turned it on, it ran a software update, and I noticed at least one more auto update over the next couple weeks. I think that's great, and I like the level of support from the company through the forums and the updates.
Now, I've talked a little bit about this as a digital transport, but it does also offer its own DAC. And that DAC has a volume control, so this can be a DAC and a preamp. The DAC chip, of course, is the ESS Sabre 9038 Pro, and this is a state-of-the-art chip, and this unit uses lots of its advanced functions like the digital attenuation and also the roll-off characteristics that you can choose from the in and out settings menu. The 9038 is an amazing chip. I can imagine many people wanting to use this as a DAC and a preamp, but I can also picture many audiophiles who will love this device, but will want to bring their own DAC to the party and use it as a digital transport. I think however you want to use this device, it's going to be easier than you think, and it's going to sound better than you expect. I'll finish up with some words on the sonics. Now, when this unit was burning in, I heard it go from warm and homogenized a little bit to linear, spacious, and full of detail. And it was not a subtle transition. There was a clear opening up period, which really didn't surprise me given the fact that there's a linear power supply in here with lots of capacitors.
What did surprise me is just how resolving and linear sounding the RS150 quickly proved to be. For an electronic device so attractive in person, I guess I really didn't expect it to sound as good as it did.
The thing that makes the RS150B special is that it really nails the interactive part and it really nails the audio part. And it's really just good at everything. The looks draw you in, the construction makes you feel good about being there. I didn't mention it, but this is milled from one solid piece of high-grade aluminum. But it's the sonics that keep you happy with this unit for years and years to come. And the constant updates and improvements from the company that are automatic, those don't hurt either.
It is a rare story in hi-fi where a newcomer to the scene bursts through the gate with such an outstanding, genre-disruptive product like this one. The HiFi Rose RS150B is all about delighting your senses, and the new brand has made its mark in the minds of all who have seen and heard it.
We at the Music Room are proud to be new partners with HiFi Rose and to offer all of their products. And so if you've got any questions about the brand, it is a new brand after all, or any of these products, feel free to leave those questions in the comments below or reach out to any of our knowledgeable staff. Well, I hope you enjoyed this tour through the HiFi Rose RS150B. Between the interaction and the sonics, this is the best streamer that I have ever experienced. And I hope that you get a chance to check it out on your own. For the Music Room, I'm Duncan Taylor, wishing you interactive streaming and happy listening.